Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christopher Bogle, and I live in London, Ontario, born and raised in Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. Let me first of all start by saying that all allegations of abuse and threats have not been proven in court. All allegations about any individuals in this documentary, Canada Challenge 2025-2026, Abuse Only Thrives in Silence, has not been proven in court. I'm just going to do a short segment of my documentary, making this public. A lot of it right now is not being made public until it is finished. At that time, I'm actually going to be giving it to the news channel and to a reporter that's interested in possibly putting this on the air throughout Canada. I've been working at this for quite a while now, and I'm very grateful. I have the opportunity to travel around and to be able to do this. This is talking about my story, my experience, my strength, and my hope after abuse, many years of abuse, at home and away from home. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about hate crimes, inciting hate and violence because of sexuality, illness, mental illness, physical illness, and so discrimination and hate is a wide scope of people that discriminate against color, race, religion, sexuality, disabilities. I have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I've had that since I was a child because of what I witnessed and what I had experienced myself at and away from home. And some of this has lasted through me through adulthood. I'm 58 years old, and I still have post-traumatic stress disorder. I do go to therapy for that. Right now, this is part of my therapy. I'm out in nature. I'm doing some documentaries, filming my own story, but I'm also doing some animal photography, and I just love it. It gives me a place to go in the quietness and the beautiful animals that God has given us to enjoy and to look at. It's just beautiful. And doctors have told me through the years that photography and filmmaking and so on, and just telling my story has helped me tremendously. And that's one of my outlets that I do use, like I say, for my post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's important, for anybody that has a mental illness, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression. Find something that you love doing, whether it's photography, whether it's putting together puzzles, whether it's painting, writing, reading, whatever it is. Find it and go with it. It makes a big difference in my recovery. So a little bit about my hate topic today. It's just standing out right now, and a lot of this has helped me by talking about it. And it's true when they say that the moment that people feel heard is when they begin to heal. And I started talking about my story back in 2019, and I'm still talking about my story because you know what, therapy and getting better with abuse and men, a lot of men. I'm going to say a lot of men because I don't hear too many stories about men talking about abuse done to them. I believe that men were brought up, taught to be strong. They don't, they're not supposed to cry. They're supposed to just be strong. And you know what? We're human. We're human beings. And women and men that have been abused and that are being abused, we all have emotions. And that's something that we were born with. We get sad, we hurt, we cry. We get angry. We have resentments, and we have worry, and we have anxieties, and both men and women alike. We go through that. And you know what? They say it takes less muscles to smile than to frown. They say that, when you cry, that's when you begin to heal. You know what? If I could add up all the cries that I've had through my life, and especially in the last few years, I could fill a river, I could fill a lake, I could fill an ocean with all the tears. Tears. I mean, can be happy tears. Tears can be sad tears. Tears can be uncertain tears. If you need to cry, men or women, cry. Get it out. Talk about it. Reach out for help. That's the best thing I ever did, was I reached out for help. And in 2019, I went to see a doctor in Toronto named Dr. Michael Irving. And he had a statue, an abuse statue, and they were, big statue out in Toronto there. And, I talked to him about my abuse, some of my abuse that I experienced. And he said, "You know what, Chris, write it down, get it out, talk about it." And I'm still talking about it. I've gotten a lot better. This documentary is to help other people. I've got a lot out. The thing about abuse, what I find I'm talking about myself now, but what I find that when I came forward back in 2019 and 2019 and 2020, when I came forward with my abuse, and you know what? And I actually came forward with some of the abuse I suffered back in 2000, so almost 25 years ago. So what I noticed, there's a difference between civil and criminal law with reporting abuse and trying to have the aggressor or the abuser, same thing, aggressor or the abuser, charged with sexual assault, physical assault, and so on, and even historically. And there is no statute of limitations here in Ontario and Canada for sexual assault. So if you were a male or female, even if you were sexually or physically assaulted many years ago, there is no statute of limitations. And it's your decision and your choice to go forward with that and either seek criminal charges for that or civil action. And the thing is, there are two different things, and I've experienced both through opening up about and coming forward with my abuse allegations with certain members. That some of them I can't disclose right now because there was a settlement made through a civil process, so I'm not able to talk about that. But were they found guilty in the court of law? Were they charged criminally? No, because when there is without reasonable doubt, it's very hard, especially historic abuse. It's very hard to lay charges if witnesses are not going to come forward, and that's the case for me. There was many witnesses in my family that never wanted to come forward, and maybe out of fear themselves because they were also victims to the abuse. So people for some reason and many reasons don't come forward and help the abused person, and that's very sad and very unfortunate. And what happens is that person it takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage to ask for help and to go to the authorities and say, you know what, this person, that family member, or that stranger or that whoever abused me and hurt me very badly at a young age, or even any age. And it takes a lot of courage and strength to go forward and say, you know what, I want this person held accountable for what they've done to me. And the thing is, it's quite the process, and it's sure, you get it out, and that's very helpful. But for me, I was expecting some accountability to the aggressors, and the thing is, that sometimes, unfortunately, that person will not be charged because there's just not enough evidence. Witnesses will not come forward, and with criminal and laying charges, you have to be 100% certain. And that's good because that can protect either side. But the thing is, for me, myself, I know what happened. I saw what happened. I saw what my mother go through. I saw the domestic violence and feel the pain but and that was very sad. And I'm still not 100% over that, but I'm a lot better now. I understand, and civil is a lot different. You know what? For myself, I would recommend somebody, if you're going to try and find somewhat more closure to reporting the abuse, take the person to small claims court, take the person to superior court, and sue them. Like I said, there's no statute of limitations. For example, my uncle, Phil Heaps, and this is all allegations of abuse or threats have not been made in court, proven in court. And Phil Heaps, when I was a child, he gave me alcohol as a young child. He groomed me, and he introduced me to a couple of his pedophile friends. One of them assaulted me sexually really badly, and the other one tried to, but I got away from him, and that never happened. My uncle, gave me pornography at a young age to look at. My uncle used to feed me alcohol in my grandfather's beer mug. My uncle, did that when my uncle lived with my grandparents in Kitchener. As a small child, my uncle used to come and pick me up and take me away for an afternoon fishing to get me away from the destruction and the abuse that was going on at home. But he had intentions for that because he did sexually abuse me. He did perform oral sex on me. He did take me down a country road, and he did take me out to a place where we fished. And he knew what he was doing, and I thought my uncle loved me. I really did. And I actually thought my uncle was, how do I put it, like myself. And I say that for a reason, because of all the abuse that I suffered away from home and at home, and I'm not going to say by who, it really messed me up. And as a child and into my teenage years, in regards to sexuality, I did not know. And the thing is that a lot of sexual assaults, a lot of sexual abuse has nothing to do with sexuality, meaning that a heterosexual person can abuse a man or a woman, and that does not mean that and a person can abuse like for example, my uncle. I thought there was rumors of of my uncle being possibly gay, and then of course when that started, the rumors of that possibly, he got into a relationship really quick, and then later he did get married and has a family now. But you know what? That doesn't matter either. There are people that are gay that have wives and kids. There are people that are heterosexual that abuse males, and they're not gay at all. It's a power, a control. It's assault. It's hate. It's a control mechanism. It's nothing to do with sexuality. In a lot of sexual abuse cases, nothing to do with sexuality. And there are a lot. There are a lot of straight men that abuse boys and men. There are homosexual men that will abuse men. There are straight men and heterosexual men that will abuse women, girls and boys and men and women. It doesn't matter. Like I say, it's a control mechanism. So for me, because I have been abused several times by males, I started questioning my own identity, and and what the hate, coming into the hate thing now. So like I say, I kind of thought my uncle loved me. I kind of thought that my uncle was kind of like myself, because I did think that possibly I might be gay. I'm not sure, and that's okay, you know. But you know, back, you know, in the 80s and so on, it's not, you know, as acceptable as it is now. And the thing is, you know, even then you had to be very, you know, careful of you know, of displaying or being proud of who you are sexually. You know, so sort of jumping ahead. So because of the abuse I suffered at home and away from home, and then, you know, my first drink, I thought my first drink actually was when I was 13 years old, and it was by a farmer that sexually assaulted me and got me drunk. He was a straight man, heterosexual male. He was married twice, divorced, a couple kids. One he actually abused, he both abused. One physically, I'm not sure about sexually, but the other one I'd found out years later by his second wife, he did actually sexually assault and physically assault his second son from the second marriage. And he was a heterosexual. You know, it was all about power and control. He's a very abusive man. He drank a lot. And so like I say, the first drink I had when I was 13. I thought was when I was 13. But then I remember now, because of my suppressed memories with my post-traumatic stress disorder, I do now remember my uncle serving me alcohol at a very young age. But I did, you know, become basically an alcoholic by the time I was 16 years old. I started getting into marijuana and so on. And at 16 years old, I tried to end my life. And that's happened quite a few times in my teenage years and later on into my 20s because of the abuse, because I got heavily involved with addictions. So when I was 19 years old, I had to get on a Greyhound bus with 2 garbage bags, headed off to Toronto, and I became homeless on the streets of Toronto, almost died. I was further assaulted, I was sexually abused, I was sex trafficked. I'm going to be talking about that during my documentary. I have no problem talking about that. I was a victim to sex trafficking, and that's not many people know about that, and it could be disturbing to some, but you know, it is what it is. It's still happening today, unfortunately and sadly. And then this is what my documentary is about awareness. I'm getting better. I know that my abusers, including my uncle, probably will never be charged. You know, as far as the civil, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, you know, as long as the biggest thing for any survivor of abuse is for you to get better inside. And big thing for me anyways, and a lot of people that have been abused suffer, you know, acceptance, validation. They want people to believe them. And it is very important for any survivor to be believed. Because just someone acknowledging us, saying, you know what, I understand your pain. Well, you know what, if you've been a victim to any kind of abuse in your life or assault, I believe you, you know, and you're not alone. I went through it, and many go through it, and we need to just find out any way we can for ourselves to get better. Going to therapy has helped me tremendously. I still go to therapy. Photography, going out in the nature, you know, it's beautiful. And just find something. Try not to seek the validation or acceptance in people, even the court system or in the law. You know, yeah, report it. And especially if you hear a child being abused, report it. I mean, don't even think about, oh, well, what if nothing? You could protect that person's years of further abuse and even their life. You know, report abuse. If you see it, hear it, and feel it, report it. That's my biggest message. Report the abuse. There were people that knew that I was being abused and others in my family were being abused, and they kept quiet. You know, abuse only thrives in silence. You've gotta talk about it. We've got to talk about it. Canada's got to talk about it. It's happening every single day. People are being hurt. Kids are being hurt. Women are being hurt. Men are being hurt. You know, I got off the topic of the hate thing because it's just where I was going with this in this segment right now. But quickly with the hate part, my uncle, you know, like I say, I looked up to him. He did a lot of volunteer work. He coached a lot of boys. I think soccer was it, baseball, and so on. And you know what? And now I think about it, I believe that there are other victims to the abuse from him, because he was very secretive and quiet in what he was doing. He was able to feed me alcohol. He was able to you know, take me to the church where he volunteered or worked at, in Waterloo. And he was able to, you know, sexually abuse me in the basement of that church. You know, and that's, you know, abusers know what they're doing. You know what, and in some cases it's a generational thing. The abuse, you know, the hurt the hurt, and the abused been abused. Not in all cases though. There's a lot of people that have been abused that would never hurt a soul. I've always had a zero tolerance. I see my mother go through tremendous abuse. I've seen other people in my family go through abuse. I went through abuse. I have a zero tolerance towards any and all forms of abuse done to man, woman, child, or animal. I always have, and I always will. If I see abuse, I report it. If I hear about it, I report it. I'm talking about it because it's so important. You need to talk about it, you know. And I thought I could trust my uncle. My uncle had interior motives all along, and did abuse me, and I'm sure others. He allegedly stole $7,167, $7,167 from me that my mother wanted me to have. There was theft of my mother's jewelry just moments after she passed away, and my uncle lied to the courts. He lied to the police. He's lied on documents that I was not even in the hospital room by my mother's bedside when she died of lung cancer. I was there a couple hours before my mother passed away. I was there during her passing away, and I was there with my sister, comforting my sister for a couple hours after my mother passed in the downstairs waiting room of the hospital, while other members, including my uncle, stole jewelry from my mother. One was a ring that I gave my mother as a present. And then they, you know, but that's, when a person's caught, they sometimes, not all, will lie. They will turn the blame around on the other person. So therefore, I'm the one that was bad. I'm the one that wasn't there at the hospital. I didn't see my mother's jewelry being taken off of her body and out of the drawer of the hospital room and put into a Ziploc bag and quickly taken. I wasn't there, you know. Of course I was there, you know, but that's part of victim blaming, victim shaming, scapegoating, and gaslighting, and that's all going to be covered in my documentary and in my book. It's going to be in an e-book, and I'm looking forward and really excited about getting that out. But you know, for my uncle though, the thing is, when I was forced in a sense to go to Toronto on a Greyhound bus, I was there not a long time at all, and I came back, and I was scared. I was scared of being on the streets. I was scared of being assaulted, and I wanted to go back. And my mother said, "Come back and stay with me." At that time, my parents had divorced because of the circumstances that was going on there, and that was the best thing to happen, was my mother to get away. And when I went to the house and stayed there, I was not even there a couple days. And I was thinking, you know what? Thank God I'm away from Toronto, and I'm away from you know, it's just craziness. And a family member, I'm not going to mention who it is right now, came in and started assaulting me, and started like physically assaulting me. And there was actually a tooth that was lost in that whole fight. And I stood back and I thought, oh my God, like my uncle had contacted that other family member and said, hey, Chris is gay, you know, Chris is a fag, you know, Chris is this and Chris is that. And oh my God, my uncle was inciting hate. and violence. And the person that he had, you know, beat me up, did beat me up under my uncle's orders. And that actually happened too, back in 2010 during my mother's insurance policy. My uncle called up somebody in my family and ordered them to come down and beat the crap out of me. And that's the exact words I don't want to say, because it was pretty bad words that he said. Come down and beat da 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 up. And that person was on the way down, and I had to flee. I had to flee, you know, my uncle's office, his insurance company. Yes, he was the insurance broker for my mother's insurance policy. Should I say any more? But I'll talk about that in my documentary too. But yeah, so my uncle incited hate twice. And here's my uncle. I'm thinking, you know, but why would he do that? You know, I thought he loved me, you know. But no, I mean, he abused me. He sexually abused me. He groomed me. He introduced me to two of his pedophile friends, for goodness sakes. Yeah, he loved me all right, didn't he? He hurt me. He hurt me psychologically. He hurt me by his inciting hate, hurt me physically. You know, and I'm going to tell you, I had to go back to Toronto because I was injured and I was scared. My mother, she had suffered some mental breakdowns because of what she had gone through herself. And I never, you know, I don't blame my mother for, you know, how could she? There was a couple family members, my uncle and another family member, that basically said, you know what, we don't want Chris here. He's a fag, he's gay, he's this, he's that, he's bad. And I had to leave. And I went back to Toronto, and I'm going to tell you, you know, even the first time when I went to Toronto, it was the gay community that helped me. It was the gay community that fed me and took me in the time when I was really sick on the street, or I was cold, or I was hungry. There was many times the gay community put their hands out and said, you know what, can we help you? And it was unconditional. It wasn't to hurt me, or, you know, and I maybe I probably did talk a little bit about, you know, I was chased away from my hometown because of this, because of that. I was assaulted back home, and you know what? The love that the gay community gave me is just, you know, and so I'm going to get more into this during the documentary, but you know, the thing is, for my uncle and other members of my family, and there was another member of my family, and you know, it was my father, and it was just the hate, the hate. I was cornered in one of my family members' garages not too many years ago. I was cornered in the garage, and the family member said, you know what, I've been hearing things about you, and that you possibly you were or you are, you know, homosexual, and if you are, I want nothing to do with you. You know, that's disgusting. And he cornered me in the garage, and I thought I was going to be assaulted. And I thought, oh my God, this is have we not come farther in our life, and understood that people are who they are. We all belong, whether we're a different color, whether we go to a different church, whether we have a different, you know, whether we like a certain food, and whether we dress differently, or and sexuality, whether we like something different than what is considered quote unquote normal, you know. And you know what, the thing is, the ironic thing about the whole thing is if anyone to ask me, and there was actually not too long ago, someone did say, you know what, I haven't seen you with a girl. I'm single. I never got married. I lost out on having kids, and I lost out on having not just a wife, but any kind of a secure relationship, whether that's with a man or whether that's with a woman. I'm not really able, even at this point, to have an intimate relationship because of the abuse that I suffered at home, on the streets of Toronto, by my uncle and by other people. That's psychologically what it's done to me. I'm working on that. Because you know what? Like I say, somebody not too long ago asked me, hey Chris, are you gay? And I was like, whoa, it just like out of nowhere. And you know what? I said no. And you know what? If anyone were to ask me today, are you gay? I'm going to say, you know what? No. Uh, and that goes with, are you heterosexual? I don't know. No, maybe not. Are you bisexual? I don't know. I've experienced many things in life. But you know what? Because of the abuse, because of where my dysfunction is, I don't know whether I'm gay, bisexual, heterosexual. I know I'm not asexual, but you know what? At this point, it doesn't. It does matter. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. But I'm going to say, if tomorrow I really woke up and I thought, you know what, I'm bisexual. Okay, fine. I accept that. I'll accept that. You know what? And if someone has a problem with that, don't hang around me. If I wake up tomorrow and I think, you know what, all these years and this and that, and figure things out, and I'm a homosexual or I'm gay, hey, then I'll accept that too. If I wake up tomorrow and I'm totally heterosexual, fine. That's where I mean it doesn't matter. I will accept that. I will move on. It's my choice. It's my life. What I do in my bedroom, what I do in behind closed doors, that's my business. That's nobody else's business. I'm not hurting anybody else. I'm not like my uncle or other abusers that have abused me through my life. They've just taken. They've never asked. They've taken. But yeah, maybe a little bit of anger there. It's okay to have anger. It's okay to have compassion. It's okay to have, a lot of people that have abused me in my life. There's no more anger. There's understanding and acceptance that it happened. And in some cases, it was a generational thing with them. They were abused, and they were abused. The abuser probably was abused. Same as addictions. I'm the only one in my family that has broken the chain of addictions and abuse. I'm the only one in my family that's done that. And you know what? I am thankful and proud and grateful that I've done that. I have broken the chains of abuse in my family and the addictions. I've chosen the cycle of abuse and the cycle of addictions in my family. And you know what? That's what's important now. To me, I'm 28 and a half years clean and sober. I've had 28 and a half years of life that God has chosen to give me, and I'm so grateful to God for that. I'm so grateful to my friends that have been supportive of me and have helped me through a very rough time in my life, and many rough times in my life. And just 10 months ago, I quit smoking. I should have never smoked for all the years that I did, but I quit. I gave it up. You know what? I enjoy going for jogs now. I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy honoring the body that God has given me, and others have chosen to abuse and take away from me a lot of things that, maybe if things would have been different, I would have kids right now. I would have grown adults I would have been a grandfather maybe even, or close to being a grandfather. I'm 58 years old. I don't know how old you have to be a grandfather, but you know what's sad? I do often get emotionally upset because I never had the chance and the opportunity to have kids. And I just know that I would have been the best dad. And I've mentored many young lives through the last 25, 26 years of my life. And I still go to the AA program, Alcoholics Anonymous. I still co-chair a couple of groups. I'm quite involved in the 12-step program to help other people. I'm okay. I'm 99% sure I'll never pick up another drink. 99% sure. And that 1%, that's why I still go to meetings, because I want to make sure that, I don't pick up. Because I will always be an alcoholic. Even though I don't drink, and I haven't drank for 28 and a half years, I'll always be an alcoholic. I'm allergic to alcohol. I used to escape for many, many years. I was an alcoholic in Toronto. I got into drugs. And thank God, I walked out alive. I have a hole in my pancreas, and I take insulin to keep alive because of the drug use, because of the alcoholism for many years, and the abuse that I went through, the cold nights in the streets, and just that's why and doctors have said that I basically put a hole in my pancreas because of the lifestyle I had, and the lifestyle I believe I was forced into, being on the streets and being hungry and so on. But you know what? That's I want to help other people by my story. That's the only reason I'm doing this Canada Challenge 2025 and 2026, and further on. If I can help one person, if one person can reach out for help and say, you know what, Chris went through that, and this is how Chris got through that, and you know what, it's all about helping each other and knowing that we're not alone. And you're not alone. If you've been abused, you're not alone. And if you are an abuser, you know what, go get help. There's many, this is not the 60s and 70s. There are so many places right now that offer help to those who abuse and those who have addictions. Get yourself some help, because you know what, us survivors of abuse, we know what you did to us, and you know what, if we've suppressed it, which some people do suppress it, it comes back many years later. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the abuse, and we're gonna say, you know what, the abuse has got to stop today, and because people are gonna help us. So you know what, thanks for listening to my story. There's much more of it that's going to be on this documentary, and I'm so thankful to my friends and followers. But recently, another thing too I was going to talk about my consistency as a person since I was a child to 58 years old now. My life has been consistent. I've always had zero tolerance towards abuse. I've always tried helping people. I helped my mother. I was my mother's protector. And I've always helped other people right up till last week. Last week I witnessed a very horrific situation in London. A young man jumping on a train. Very dangerous move that he did. It could have ended his life. I talked to a TV reporter I know, and said, you know what do you think? Should we, I think this is worth bringing awareness to, and he was, yes. And it actually, a lot of news channels throughout Canada. Was Chris tattletelling? No. Chris was, you know what? Chris is who Chris has always been. I'm concerned about other people, young first-time university students, first-year students, seeing stuff like that and thinking, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. No, it's dangerous. So many people die every year jumping on trains and doing stupid stuff. I've always been about awareness. I'm still about awareness. I've always been about helping people that have been hurt. And like I say, I've always had a zero tolerance. And Chris has never changed the way he's done things. I've always been there to help people everywhere I can. And even with that's helping them get into an AA program, helping them with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous recovery, whether it's helping them, just wherever I can help or bring awareness to something, I will, and I have. And then on the other scope of things, those that abuse, like my uncle and other people in my family, they're consistent too in the meanness, in the hate, in the abuse. That's just gone on. And you know what? You can't change people. You can only change yourself. I chose to change myself many, many years ago, and that's why I'm still sober today. Mind you, I've had the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, and a lot of good friends have spent a lot of time with me, and I really love my friends, and they've done so much for me, and I'm just so grateful for my friends and the support and encouragement that they give me, even to do this documentary. This is not easy, but to me it's worth it. So you know what, I've kept on. Chris has kept on, with his consistency as a person. And others, unfortunately, have continued on being hateful, being abusive. I want nothing to do with those kind of people. You know, I don't want anything to do with my family. I don't want anything to do with my uncle. You know, will I pursue certain things? I don't know. But whatever I choose is what I choose. Wherever I want to have closure in this, I will have closure in this, or I will at least try to seek closure in this. My uncle hurt me badly. And you know what? Will it be through the law? I don't know. Will it be through civil? I don't know. Will it be me talking about it? Probably, you know. So thanks everybody for letting me share. I've gone a little farther than I intended, but you know what? I'm going from the heart. I'm going from the truth. And I'm going for what's coming out, and it's going to make me better, and I'm hoping it's going to help someone else know that you're not alone. Thanks very much, and God bless.